Okay, good afternoon po sa ating lahat. Good afternoon po no sa ating mga viewers, sa ating FB Live and Watch Party. Wherever you are, good afternoon, magandang hapon, mayap agat panapon. Maayong hapon po sa atin pong lahat. Ayan. So sa mga kasama po natin dito po sa ating Zoom room, please turn off our microphones when it's not our turn to speak yet. Okay lamang po ba? Okay, and before we start, we would like to acknowledge, of course, the presence of Board of Trustees po ng KOSE, LGU Arayat. Yan, nandito po. And po ang mga staff ng KOSE na naandun po sa iba't iba pong lugar sa ngayon. So magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. And of course, to formally start the program, may we request everyone to please remain silent po para sa opening prayer to be led by Sister Corazon Antal, Carm OL po, then to followed po by ating national anthem. Sister Corazon.
Yes. In the name of the Father, of the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen. God, our loving Father, we thank you for the many blessings and graces you showered to us every day, for the friendships, partnerships, and for all the people whom you sent to collaborate with us, and for those for whom the book was written, for the editors, publisher, for the Coalition of Services of the Elderly Incorporated, the COSE, who compiled the inspiring stories of our elderly, and Edward Gerlach and Hazel, that they will be blessed with their hard work as they continue to serve and touch the lives of other people, especially the vulnerable ones. Today, we celebrate the giftedness of your people for the success of this book. Lord, we know how this book are connected with the lives of your people. Please help breathe life into these inspiring stories and touch those who pick up the book that they can sense your loving and gentle presence with these vulnerable people in their struggles and hopes for brighter days ahead. May they continue to teach us as we have so much to learn from them. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please remain silent po para po sa ating national anthem. Kuya Kaloy, pwede pong pagawa po akong co-host. Kuya Kaloy? Kuya Kaloy? Pwede pong pa-co-host po ako. Sorry, may technical problem. Kuya Kaloy? Co-host po. Pa-co-host po ako. Yes pa. Sorry. Ayun. magandang hapon po ulit sa atin pong lahat. And of course, to formally start our program po, no? At para sa pambungad na pananalita, may we call on Sir Reynaldo A. Leon, COSI Board of Trustees Chairperson. Good afternoon, Sir Ray.
Alright. Magandang araw sa kanilang lahat. Again, it's a great honor and privilege to open another event in the history of COSE, the Coalition of Services of the Elderly, a non-governmental organization which aims to help the older persons sector of our society, especially the marginalized ones. I would say, by divine appointment, we are all gathered here in this virtual meeting for the launching of this book on the plight and reality of our Filipino elders, entitled "The Best Is Yet to Be." This book commemorates and extols the various realities and the fruits of our continuously and consistently serving the older persons, and most especially of being and growing as an older person. But I would say a great book, as indicated in the publisher's note, a noble presentation of the past 30 years of work experience of our dear COSE. 3 decades of tireless works of COSE show the tireless commitments also of our goal partners, especially the Help Age International, the various private individuals and institutions, the various government agencies, especially the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and most especially the dedicated workers of COSE. In fact, COSE witnessed my transition from being a citizen with a single citizenship to an age with dual citizenship, since the late Minerva Laudeco, or as we fondly call her, Lola Ner, the House Representative of Women and Elderly in the time of President Aquino, Cory Aquino. She brought me to COSE when I was still in my 40s, after meeting her in an Elderly Week celebration in the slums of Payatas. And that introduction to COSE and its works and servants encouraged me to continue being involved in the marginalized elderly sector up to now. In a way, the objective of this book is not only to tell stories of celebrations, stories of transformation, of commitment, of connectivity, of standing and fighting for what is truth and noble, but also of aging gracefully, but also of expressing our gratitude to all those faces whom we have known and not known, as we have chosen this less traveled road by people nowadays, when the culture of death is rampant and irreprehensible. As we have celebrated the 35th anniversary of the People's Power yesterday, let us also continue to harness all our efforts, humanely and spiritually, to serve and care for the older persons, for they possess such power that brings unity, freedom, and harmony for all. That at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, we too will most likely be the beneficiaries. In behalf of the Board of Trustees of COSE, I would express my gratitude for the creation of the partnership of the Institute of Spirituality in Asia, or ISA, and the Coalition of Services of the Elderly, or COSE, to make this book a reality. And often, I would also thank those who will promote the circulation of this book to the farthest ends of our country and to the world. God bless us all, and this book, the best is yet to be.
Salamat po, Kuya Sir Ray. No, thank you very much po. Today is indeed a very special day. A very happy day, a very happy event for all of us, especially po for COSE. And the book, The Best is Yet to Be, as you've mentioned po, 3 decades of stories of timeless works of COSE and its partners and stakeholders. So mamaya po, malalaman natin ano yung story po sa likod ng book na The Best is Yet to Be. Thank you so much po. Maybe marami po sa inyo ang nag-wonder or nagtataka, what is COSE and what is ISA? So for us to learn more of the two organizations, let's watch po about the video, about their programs, about what they are doing in the community.
Through the years, millions of older persons experience different types of aging issues. They continue to be the nation's poorest of the poor and can't even afford to buy their basic needs. They suffer from different types of elder abuse, like physical, financial, emotional, sexual, and abandonment. You can see them sleeping and begging in the streets, signs that there is an increasing number of older persons being abandoned and neglected. They also suffer from different illnesses, yet health services and programs remain inadequate and inaccessible for them. Oftentimes, they are also left behind during disaster preparedness and emergencies. And although we give high regards to older persons, the rights, privileges, needs, and other concerns of older persons remain disrespected and unrecognized. Since 1989, the Coalition of Services of the Elderly have been working with older persons to address these different aging issues on poverty, invisibility, and exclusion through community organizing to facilitate the formation and strengthening of older persons organizations and the establishment of community-based programs on health, like home care and mobile health care services, on income security, like age-friendly and diversified livelihood, and on disaster risk reduction and management, like preparedness and inclusion of older persons during disasters or emergencies. Through advocacy and networking with older persons for policies, programs, and services that are beneficial to their sector, and the capacity building to strengthen capacities and enhance knowledge and skills of older persons so they can actively participate and contribute to the society. We need you to help us shape our society. Let us build a better community for the older persons. Make our society a better place for all ages. Be involved, volunteer, donate, advocate. Follow us on our online media.
Okay, para po sa mga karagdagan pong impormasyon, maaari po nating bisitahin ang website po ng COSE, www.org.ph, or maaari din po tayong mag-subscribe, mag-follow po sa ating Facebook page. Hanapin po COSE Older Persons. Maaari din po sa ating Facebook page, Coalition of Services of the Elderly. And of course, meron din po tayong Instagram and Twitter account. Okay, ngayon naman po, kilalanin naman po natin sino, ano nga po ba ang Institute of Spirituality of Asia o ISA sa pamamagitan po ng isang video.
Institute of Spirituality in Asia is the Carmelites' response and contribution to meeting the challenges of Asian faiths, cultures, and traditions in building a world where there is fullness of life. Founded in 2001, the Institute of Spirituality in Asia serves as both a center for research and an academic institution. For over a decade now, ISA has supported research projects in spirituality studies, leading to the publication of groundbreaking books and journals. Likewise, it conducts annual spirituality forums for a dynamic and engaging exchange of insights on lived spirituality. As an academic institute, ISA offers masteral and doctoral courses in organization development, major in transformative spirituality, in partnership with the Southeast Asia Interdisciplinary Development Institute, or SIDE. Through hermeneutical, critical, and methodical reflection, students are invited to make the experience of transformative spirituality and cultural diversity more fruitful for the mission of the Church and for the renewal of society, combining their individual experiences from a diversity of cultures in the Philippines and in Asia with ISA's expertise in research and education. Course modules are offered following the philosophy of open learning, allowing students to progress at their own paces and learning styles. ISA provides a well-stocked library specializing in spirituality studies and related disciplines with computers, internet, and other facilities that support academic research. Summer courses and public lectures are also conducted to enhance and enrich the overall learning experience. ISA is committed to the search and research of lived spirituality that is dynamic, transformative, and liberating, leading to dialogue and partnerships among the great faiths and peoples of Asia as we meet the challenges of a rapidly changing world.
Okay po, para po sa mga karagdagang impormasyon tungkol po sa ISA, maaari po nating bisitahin ang kanila pong website, isa.org.ph. And of course, magandang hapon po ulit, lalo na po sa mga yun pa lamang po nakaka-join dito sa ating Zoom. At ganoon din po sa mga ngayon pa lamang nagbukas po at nanood sa kanila pong Facebook. So we are also live po in our Facebook page po ng Coalition of Services of the Elderly at pwede po natin itong i-watch party para mas marami pong makapanood ng ating pong book launching. Na sinabi nga po kanina ni Sir Ray, ito po ay 3 dekada ng istorya po ng mga pakikipagtrabaho ng KOSE sa iba't iba pong partners and stakeholders. And ano rin po ito, kwento po ng pakikipagtrabaho po ng KOSE in building a community for all older persons. So maraming salamat po sa inyo pong lahat. Ngayon kilalanin naman po natin sino po ang mga editors sa likod ng libro na the best is yet to be. Una po ay si Mr. Edward M. Gerlach o mas kilala po sa tawag natin na Kuya Ed. Si Kuya Ed po ay isa sa mga founders ng KOSE at kasalukuyang miyembro po ng KOSE Board of Trustees. Pakinggan po natin ang mensahe at kwento po ni Kuya Ed. Magandang hapon po.
Can you hear me? Okay. Magandang hapon. Alam niyo, after 30 years of KOSE working with poor elderly people, the expectation might be, what has KOSE achieved? What have you done? What are your projects? How many? This book is not about that. We're not giving a progress report, though we have to do that for the funders. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's not what have we done for poor older people. I would like to reflect for a few minutes with you about what older people have done for us. And I tell you a story. You know, every year we celebrate Sampung Uliran Nakatatanda Awards. It's the first week of October. Typical Filipino, no, the rest of the world has only one day. October 1 is the United Nations of the Elderly. But in the Philippines, we need a whole week to celebrate. Not only that, but at Christmas time, we start celebrating Christmas September 1. Other people only start in December. So we're always celebrating. And during this celebration of the 10 Outstanding Elderly Awards, we open it up to the whole country. There was a time when Dolphy, if you remember the comedian Dolphy, made a spot ad and asked for people to send in nominations. We got over 100 people nominated. And you know, very often it's the strength of the Filipino family. Many families would send in the name of their parents because naturally the children think that their parents are uleran, special. And that might well be, but we're really looking for something even beyond that. So we get nominations from everywhere. There's a woman, a Muslim woman who's a health worker in Tawi-Tawi who became outstanding elderly. There was a tribal Filipino from Mindoro who fought for the rights of the tribal group. He was also Uliran Nakatatanda. And so one year, there was a religious brother who had lived with people with leprosy for over 25 years. And it was the people with leprosy who nominated him. Now, I tell you honestly, for me, if you ask me, what is the special moment in the whole year that really moves you? For me, it's not so much Christmas or New Year's or Easter or my birthday. It's when these people who have been chosen to be outstanding elderly they tell why they did what they did, why they gave their lives for others. As you well know, if there is a basic Christian message, it's that Jesus came in order to give his life for everyone else, in order to motivate us to also give our lives for each other. And so this brother got up and he gave his response and he said, and I quote, "Please don't be offended," he said, "but I think you made a terrible mistake." He said, "You know, people with leprosy taught me more than I could ever teach them." And that is the underlying message of this book. It's not what we have done for older persons, but what we have become as a result of what older people have done for us. You know, we might have more formal education, we might even have more money, but older people have years and experience and wisdom and many times commitment. And so there was a community organizer, she told me once, she said, "I was so desperate for a job when I came to COSE." She said, "It didn't take me very long. After a couple of weeks, I realized this isn't a job, it's a vocation." Older people have taught us a lot about life and about uh, what life is all about and about wisdom. You know, we get a lot of crap, excuse the expression, from television about lotions and vitamin pills and exercises and clothing and even surgery that make us look young again. And the older people have taught us the beauty is in the aging. And we took the title from a famous poem by Robert Browning. "Come, grow old with me. The best is yet to be." I wanted to add one more thing. You know, this is a theme that goes all the way through Scripture. From the beginning of Scripture, when Moses is begging God to choose his brother Aaron because he has some kind of a speech impediment. Can you imagine going in front of the most powerful person in the whole world and having a speech impediment? No, but it's Moses that goes, not Aaron. In the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah is begging God to choose somebody else. He says, I am but a child. No, but it's Jeremiah who does that. And you know, when you get into the New Testament, in Matthew chapter 25, it's the poor who save us. People are asking, when did we see you? And Jesus answers, I was there, and the hungry, and the people in jail, and the people in prison. And so on the front page of the book is a quote from Paul. It's a brand new community that he helped organize even before the Gospels were written around the year 40, about 10 years after Jesus died. And he says to them in the first chapter of Corinthians, he says, look at you as a group, he said. Not many of you are bogey. Not many of you are wealthy. Not many of you are famous. But God has chosen the weak things of the world to confront the things that are strong, and the things that are not to confront the things that are. And so in this book launching, we thank God for having called us to be of service to the elderly, because in truth, we have received more than we have given. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kuya Edo, for that very inspiring message. And gusto po nating i-quote yung binanggit ni Kuya Ed na this book, The Best Is Yet to Be, ay hindi po tungkol sa kung ano po ang nagawa po ng KOSE, kung ano po ang nagawa ng mga staff ng KOSE, kundi po kung ano at sino po sila dahil po sa pakikipagtrabaho sa mga nakatatanda. Maraming salamat po, Kuya Ed. Isa po sa editor ng book na The Best Is Yet to Be. Unfortunately po, isa po sa mga editors din ng book na si Miss Hazel I. Michera ay hindi po natin makakasama po ngayong hapon po na ito. Okay, so tayo po ay mag-move na po. Ngayon po nakita na po natin, narinig po natin ang mensahe mula po sa isa sa mga editors ng book. Pakinggan naman po natin ang kwento ng dalawa po sa mga contributors para po sa libro na ito. Alamin po natin ano po yung kanilang mga inspiring stories sa pakikipagtrabaho po sa mga nakatatanda at sa komunidad, no? Kung saan nandun po ang mga proyekto po ng KOSE at ang mga nakatatanda katulong po, kasama po sila ng KOSE sa pagbibuild ng isang community for all ages, especially for older persons. Unahin po natin si Mr. Vinor Cortez Parungaw, mas kilala sa tawag na Sir Bong. So si Sir Bong po ay ang kasalukuyang Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction Officer o MDRRMO ng bayan ng Arayat, Pampanga. Isa po si Sir Bong sa mga aktibong head ng Arayat LGU offices at walang sawang sumusuporta sa mga proyekto po ng KOSE at nakikipagtrabaho sa mga nakatatanda. Pakinggan po natin ang kwento ni Sir Bong Parungaw. Mayap agat panapon po, Sir Bong.
Maya pagpanapon din po, Ma'am Rochelle. Before anything else, I would like to congratulate KOSE for its 30th anniversary. So kung yan ay tao, ay nasa middle age na ang KOSE. And another 25 years, senior citizen na rin siya. And before anything else, I would like to say that on behalf of the municipality of Arayat, the people of Arayat, especially the elderly, we are proud to be a part of this book launching. You know, ma'am, and for everybody watching now, I never dream of that I become a member or part of book launching of KOSE. You know, for an ordinary person like me, being to become a part of a book, a very important book, especially for the elderly, it's a big honor. Hanggang sa mamatay na ako, ipagmamalaki, I will tell my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, that when I was a senior citizen, I did not just sit on my table to wait for anything that come to me. I could, I could this tell them that your lolo become a productive and fruitful senior citizen when he was 60 years old and above because of COSE. So being the officers of the MDRRMO of the municipality of Paraya, I learned a lot from COSE, not only to become humble, to be capacitated. I learned the importance of being a senior citizen. Before I became known the COSE, I thought senior citizens are just a spent force of the society. Actually, I realized that become a senior citizen is a fortunate experience. So I always say with my colleagues in the municipality of Riot who are not yet senior citizen, I always tell them that if you don't reach the age of senior citizens, you are less fortunate. In our dialogue, pag hindi ka naging senior citizen, malas mo. Di po ba, Sir Edward? Pag inabot mo 60 years old, it means you have learned a lot, you have experienced a lot, you have many things to say for the next generation. So, for everybody watching now, thank you very much to all of you COSE people, especially to Ma'am Rochelle, to Sir, what is Dennis Destacamento, Sir Jeff, and other people who spent their time, even though our municipality is very far from Metro Manila, they exerted many efforts to reach out, to show to us and other senior citizens in the Pampanga that there is COSE who is always ready to help us, to capacitate us, to inspire us to be fruitful and what is that? Honored senior citizen. Thank you very much for giving me a time to share my thought in this very special occasion. The launching of the book, The Best is Yet to Be. You're right, is yet to be. But I'm sure it will come, the best will come totally. Thank you very much. And
Thank, ayan. Thank you so much, Sir Bong, no? Para po sa napakagandang mensahe na inihatid mo po sa amin. So, for all the senior citizens po, nakasama po natin dito sa Zoom, for all the senior citizens watching us via Facebook Live and Watch Party, congratulations po! You are very fortunate as what Sir Bong have mentioned. So, congratulations! Na-reach po natin ninyo po ang edad na 60 years old. Ayan, marami pong natutunan at marami pong babaunin, marami pong ikukwento sa mga anak at magiging apo hindi lamang po ngayon, no, kundi sa susunod na henerasyon, mga kwento at mga natutunan. So, ngayon naman po, no, ang hangad po natin na ang kwento po ni Sir Bong ay maging inspirasyon. Ano po, hindi lamang po sa mga nakatatanda, kundi po sa iba't ibang individual, ano man po yung edad, ano man po yung sektor na kinabibilangan, upang patuloy po na makiisa at makipagtulungan sa pagsusulong po ng mga aktibidad at programa sa pagpapaunlad po ng society para po sa mga nakatatanda. At of course, kilalanin din po natin ang isa po sa mga contributors ng The Bet is Yet to Be, si Miss Carolina S. Vergara o si Ate Carol. Si Ate Carol po ay isa sa mga empleyado ng COSE simula pa noong 2014 at si Ate Carol ay kasalukuyang naka-assign sa 3 munisipyo sa Western Leyte. Alamin po natin ang kanyang kwento. Maayong hapon po, Ate Carol.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, each and everyone. No? It's a great honor to be part of this virtual book launching entitled The Best Is Yet to Be. Thank you. Maraming salamat for giving me a chance to be part of it and for the opportunity to share my journey working with the older person. As you read through the book, you could see my narrative story or experiences working with the older person. And before that, let me give you a glimpse on how it started in Kosi. So, pero I just like to share to you a quote from Richard Ney, which says, "What is disaster for a most is an opportunity for a few." As I recall, way back 2013, Super Typhoon Yolanda strike the most powerful tropical cyclone ever recorded, was devastated many provinces in the Philippines, affecting many lives, including mine. I've been in Leyte for 22 years now, and throughout those years, I never thought that I would experience such a disaster. The massive devastation left by Super Typhoon Yolanda paved the way of the arrival of the mini humanitarian organization in the province of Leyte. It might have been seemed to be a tragic event, but open many opportunities for others to extend help for those who are grieving for or recovering. As for me, it became a starting point of my journey towards humanitarian services as a community organizer, no, in Kausi, to address the issues of poverty, exclusion, and invisibility. By God's grace, I was able to work with Cosino and with other person in Resin Leyte from 2014 up to 2015 for the 2 years post Yolanda rehabilitation and recovery phase, and 2016 up to the present for the Messier funded project. My day-to-day visit and experiences with older person in their communities open my eyes to hard life of the older person in the province, particularly someone living in the rural areas. I remember an encounter with an older person. I called her Nanay Perpi. She only ate her breakfast, lunch, and dinner with banana. She told me that none of her children care for her, and uh, because they are also very poor. It really breaks my heart, no? And hearing say, nga, ningon siya nga, I'm not even sure, mom, if I have something to eat tomorrow. So it made me cry talaga that no one cared the older person. Despite the many challenges that the older person face, especially during this time of pandemic, no, I also witness how they continue to live and make themselves active, especially our leaders in the community. The many faces and stories of older person I work with almost every day made my day, of course, worthwhile. Sometimes, no, they said that they learned a lot from Kosi and me, but truthfully, no, it is I talaga who have learned a lot from them. In this case, I learned much wisdom working with the older person from their experience, no? I learned the virtue of suffering and sound judgment. Together with them, no, I learned courage, of course, no, and teamwork kindness. Sabi pa ng iba, sabi ng family ko, mas mabait na ako ngayon while working with older persons. So I learned to love more people. I learned to be kind and and patient. I can only say that through me, my husband, and even my children have grown their love and understanding for older persons. Sabi nga nila, gusto nila mag-development work. Sana all. Facilitating older person enlightened made me realize that being an older person is not defined by age, white hairs, joint pains, but rather by the love they live in their hearts after they have fully recovered from many bad memories, especially here in Leyte, the Super Typhoon and other disasters, and presently the courage to face the challenges brought by the present of the COVID-19 pandemic. It is me, Carolina S. Vergara, Cebuana, who was shaped by the undermass past Yolanda, and the encounters of the present challenges of the other person. And I really thank Cozy family. I hope for the readers that they will take some knowledge of older person and how we work with older person, no? And above all, I hope that the readers will be inspired to help, no? And make the difference in the lives of the older person. May panapos akong saying that I always remember days when I go to the field. There's a saying that to make a difference in someone's life, you don't have to be brilliant, to be rich, to be beautiful or perfect. You have just to care. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Yay! Thank you very much po, Ate Carolina Vergara po, no? COSA staff since 2014. So nawa po yung kwento po ni Ate Carol ay maging inspirasyon po sa mga individual na nangangarap maging community o development worker at gusto pong makipagtrabaho po sa mga nakatatanda. As you've mentioned po in your story, you are spreading your wings, ready to fly to pursue your missions in life. At kasama po sa iyong misyon ang pakikipagtrabaho po sa mga nakatatanda at sa komunidad. Opo. So muli, maraming salamat po, Ate Carol. Salamat kaayo. And of course, who wouldn't want to work with older persons? Especially at binigyang diin na po ni Ate Carol ng mga older persons ay full of wisdom. Ano po? At marami na pong maibabahagi.
Knowledge.
Yeah, at knowledge po sa mga nakababatang henerasyon. Muli, maraming salamat po, Ate Carol, at mabuhay po ang mga katulad po ninyo, ano po, ng mga development or community worker. Okay.
Thank you, Din.
Yes po. At ngayon po, alamin naman po natin ang kwento sa likod ng libro na The Best is Yet to Be. Paano nga ba tayo magkakaroon? Siguro din po madidiscuss po ng sariling kopya. Upang masagot po ang ating pong mga tanong, let's call on Miss Emily Beredico, ang Executive Director po ng Coalition of Services of the Elderly, to present the book, The Best is Yet to Be. Good afternoon, Ate Emily.
Yes, good afternoon, Ruth. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this very special event. As mentioned earlier, the Coalition of Services of the Elderly, or COSE, in partnership with the Institute of Spirituality in Asia, published an anniversary book entitled The Best is Yet to Be, in celebration of our 30th anniversary last year. So the title of the book, as mentioned by Kuya Ed earlier, The Best is Yet to Be, was borrowed from the beautiful poem by Robert Browning, Come Grow Old With Me, The Best is Yet to Be. I read the poem. It's 32 stanza, very long poem, but it's very beautiful. The message is very nice. Then, the best is yet to be means that good things have happened, but that even better, that things will happen in the future. So it means that whatever is happening now will surpass by something better the best has not come, but it will, according to Sir Bong. So, there are gains, no? There are laws that passed already, but like the social pension, the mandatory field health coverage, but we can say that it is not the best yet. So we need to continue our advocacy to fully achieve that goal. So the book cover, if you notice, if you have the book, this one, I mean, is a photo in one of our mobilizations during the early 2000s. I was in COSI that time already. And the House of Representatives, when they lobbied for the passage of the Magna Carta of older persons. Issues on land tenure, source of income or livelihood, healthcare, pension, and burial benefit are the advocacy agenda raised at that time. Unfortunately, the Magna Carta of older person po was not approved. The advocacy continues, and in 2010, the social pension program became a law. And in 2014, the mandatory field health coverage for senior citizens was then approved. Though these laws are already implemented, but we can say that it is not fully accessed by the older persons, especially those who are living in the remote areas. So to fully access the demands of older person for an age-friendly society, COSE and its partner older persons organizations continue the advocacy efforts. So if those with a copy of the book, you can say that the book has 7 chapters that feature the work experience of COSE for the past 30 years. As mentioned by so many people already, that it's a compilation of inspiring stories, reflections, and testimonies of individuals and older persons themselves who they and COSE have worked with over the past 30 years. So for the information of everybody, I'm also with COSE for 20 years, 21 years this coming November 16. And I started as community organizer. So what Ate Carol has shared, I also experienced that. It's very nice experience working with older persons. I really miss working with them, going to their houses, chatting with them. But now, because I am the executive director, most of the time I'm in the office. But I really miss that time during 2000 up to 2012, 2013, 14. So this book also pays tribute to our colleagues, friends who have moved on to a better place, as mentioned by Kuya Ed. So they were Dr. Glorioso Saturay, the former BOT chair of COSE, Ms. Rocho, board member of COSE also, Dr. Emmanuel Gatchelian, former BOT chair, and Ms. Minerva Laudeco, si Lola Ner, former BOT chair and a pioneer social worker in the country. Dennis Murphy, one of the founders of COSE and known to be the father of community organizing, and Kuya Francis Kupang, former executive director of COSE. So ito po, no, para din sa kanilang mga contributions sa COSE, sa older person also, and also sa mga naging staff ng COSE, like Ate Kokoy is here, the former executive director also of COSE. Thank you for joining us. And also the former staff of COSE, na sa ngayon, no, patuloy pa rin na bit-bit yung advokasya ng COSE saan man sila pumunta. Nakakatuwa kasi kapag may mga concern, Ate Emily, we already included the older persons in our emergency response. We prioritize them. So at least yung mga natutunan na bibit-bit po nila. So yun po yung about the book. And now siguro magtatanong kayo, how much is the book? Napakamura lang po, murang-mura, 120 pesos, di ba, Father Gabi? 120 pesos lang po ang copy niya. Then, we can buy it sa mga outlets ng ISA publication outlets. Mayroon sa Metro Manila, baka dadagdagan na lang ni Father mamaya kung saan natin matatagpuan. And even outside Metro Manila. may mga outlets po ang ISA publication. And also, sa COSE po, mayroon ding copy kami dito sa office. You can also ask us if you want to buy or to support also our advocacy. Kasi po yung proceeds ng book ay gagamitin din natin to continue the advocacy of older persons, to continue facilitate the strengthening of older persons organizations. So yan lang po siguro, no? Si Father Gabby later on mag-a-add kung ano as the publisher po. So siguro I will also want to maximize this opportunity to say thank you so much for ISA. Kasi kung wala po yung ISA, syempre hindi natin ito mapapublish. Salamat Father Gabby, saka po sa mga kasama mo, Ma'am Joy, sa mga daming effort na ginawa just to publish this book. So once again po, thank you so much at magandang hapon.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, Ate Emily Beredico, ang Executive Director po ng COSE, Coalition of Services of the Elderly. Sabi po ni Ate Emily, the best is yet to be. Yes po, marami na po tayong nagawa. Malayo na po yung ating pong narating. May mga batas na po na naipasa para sa mga nakatatanda. Pero mas marami pa po tayong dapat gawin. Kaya please join us. Join COSE po in continuously advocating for and promoting a better society for all ages, including older persons. And of course, narinig na po natin ang kwento ng dalawang contributors at nagkaroon na po tayo ng idea tungkol po sa nilalaman at bakit po na-conceptualize ang libro na The Best is Yet to Be. Pero mula po sa point of view ng book reviewers, ano ang the best is yet to be? Tawagin po natin si Miss Mary Raceles, isang research scientist ng Institute of Philippine Culture ng Ateneo de Manila University. Good afternoon po, Miss Mary. Ma'am Mary, you're on mute po. Naka-mute po kayo, ma'am. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay na? Yes. Salamat, Rochelle, sa pag-introduction ko at saka sa mga participants ng meeting na ito, na launch. This is a very important meeting. And I'm glad my friend, it says here, Kuya Edgar Lack, nakalagay dito. But I want to remind him, ako ay mas matanda kaysa kanya. So he has to call me ate. I'm not going to call him Kuya, okay? Remember, Ed. Ayon. And that is my way of introducing why I'm really glad to be here with also my copy of the book, Best is Yet to Be. Because normally I'm with young people because I'm a teacher, right? I teach sa Ateneo, sa UP, undergraduate, college graduate, pero mga young people. So I'm always parang yung role model, yung quote-unquote expert, yung parang ganito, may divide, no? But now that I'm here, I feel so comfortable because almost, hindi naman lahat, but almost many people are in our generation, di ba, Ed? So you feel very comfortable. So I'm very happy that you invited me kasi I don't often have a chance to connect really systematically. Yun lang, minsan, I have been sa yung award ceremony ng Huli Lang, which is always inspiring. So when Ed and Kose invited me to come, I said, of course, especially his incentive naman, si Ed is very aware. He said, you get a free copy of the book if you review it. So I said, okay. No, but even if it's not free, I'm happy to be here. So let me say, oh my goodness. Just to start with, yung credentials ko to be in this group is I have 13 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren, aposituhod, plus 1 more on the way in May. So I qualify to be in this generation. But let me say that siguro why I'm here is because sa mga 1970s ata is when I must have met Ed, because we were both on the Tondo foreshore, yung community organizing with Dennis Murphy. Noon, imagine, huh? And how many years ago? 70 years? No, siguro, yeah. No, 50 years. Anyway, that's where we met. And we were actively, sa mga urban housing, decent secure tenure, sa mga tao who are informal settlers. That was our focus. But I remember after a year or two of that, sabi nga ni Ed, there's another group that we don't pay attention to. Sino naman yon? We're really active, no? He said, no, the older people, because they have their own issues. When pa, hindi sila kasali. The mobilization is always visioned as yung mga adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. But beyond that, parang marginalized yung mga iba, no? So he had already learned all the principles of community organizing, which you have stated already, and many of you know because you practiced it. And he said, no, we have to work with older people so that their voices can also be heard, not just the younger adults. In fact, and that's where he kind of went off, hindi naman on his own, because we always connected, especially with Dennis Murphy. But that generated a whole new energetic burst of action that brought in all of you and some of those who were there already before you. And mainly the people who are the subject of the book, who were the part who have given us so much of what we have all learned from these groups and others along with them whose maybe the stories are not here, but they're here also represented in principle. So libro. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. And if I could not resist just one more observation. When we were singing the national anthem, I bet you there are not many of you in the younger group, but maybe the same generation as me, who still know the words in English because we were in school during the Commonwealth period. Ako, grade school ako, grade 3, 4, when you learn how to sing Land of the Morning in English. Siguro wala na yon. It's only in the memory of those of us who are in our siguro mga 80s, katulad ko. So when I'm really when I saw all the words in Filipino, I had to learn it all over again because I didn't learn it in school, so I had to learn it anyway, just to show how what marks you as a person in this generation, the things you remember, the things you share with others in your generation, and listening to the stories of the people who are represented in this group makes it even more inspiring that you know that there's enormous numbers of people there with talent, whose potential maybe they have already realized, like here, or if they're in Kose, but so many more who still have to recognize what their skills and talent and level of spirituality is that they can contribute to society. So that is one of the things that I think this book will enable those who are not of this generation, my students, and I this will be part of my course this semester. I'm teaching this semester. My only problem is how do I get a copy? I want the students to buy. In fact, I'll buy the copies and distribute to them. Yun lang yung mga iba, isa ay nasa Surigao, yung isa sa Ilocos. So I'm not quite sure except how I will get it to them. But we will have a section sa course ko, civil society, the state, and the private sector, of what is the role of yung mga CSOs, especially NGOs, in mobilizing and working with community groups. That's this focus. So I want to feature those who have really done it. And I hope that I can, in fact, I intend to invite you already. I already told si Ed, and since I'm his ate, he cannot say no, that he has to help mobilize those of you who can tell the story to my mga graduate students sa UP, okay? So I'm really very grateful to have this opportunity for many reasons. Well, so let me turn to the book. You've already pointed out that one of the great contributions is hope. It shows when you say the best is yet to be, the implication is there's more. Huh? And I think that's a very important theme, that you never stop hoping. We go through ups and downs in our lives, but even when you are in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, I'm still below that, but near na. Um, there is still hope. You aspire. In fact, I was reading an account of an experiment done to Harvard naman, where the psychologist compared the brains of yung mga college students sa Harvard with the brains of older people, sempre Americans, right? Older people, because she wanted to know why is it that some older people are very active and why are some not? They sort of give up or what. What is it? She was a biologist. So what's in the brain? And what she found was it's not the correspondence between the active students and the active older people was in the emotional side of the brain. She didn't expect that. So she began to explore what's the difference in the emotional character of the older people who are active and the older people who are not, even though they're more or less the same age, same health level, no? And what she found was that the older ones who are active have a passion about something. So when she gave the findings to itong mga group of older people, senior citizen group, sabi niya, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's not enough for you to do crossword puzzles or yung Sudoku or yung mga ganon, it's good, do it, but it's not enough. You have to, what is your passion? Because that is what keeps you dynamic and alive, because you have a reason to live that's beyond yourself. And it's usually said it's usually in other people, but can be also you love to grow plant gardening, so you can show your grandchildren what does it mean to plant something and see it grow. So I really was very impressed with it, assuming of course that your health levels, which are not always in your control, no, but if they keep up, that it's the emotional side that keeps you going, in not only for yourself but in service of others. I'm sure that all of the people in this book and the others whom they represent, through the connections largely with Kose, discovered a passion, and their passion is to serve others, right? And so that is an enormous contribution I think Kose has made to older people, and the inspiration and the contributions to younger people. My grandchildren, who always say, "Don't you ever rest, Grandma?" And I say, "No, but aren't you retired?" And I say, "Retired? What's the meaning of retired? Retired means doing what you always did and what you like to do, that you continue to do it. Of course, you can eliminate the things you don't like. That's nice about being retired, but you focus on something you care about." So young people learn that also, from older people. And the fact that it's now written in stories, I will ask my graduate students siguro to either write their comments, or we'll have a session baka with some of you in our session, if I can learn how to handle a Zoom meeting by myself. That's another story. Okay, so um, hope, optimism, joy, building on your life experiences, recognizing that there's no end. You just keep going as long as you can, because you care. You care about something, some usually other people who inspire you, who where the rewards are because you realize that maybe you've made a good difference in their lives. If they recognize it and tell you so, better still. But minsan they don't. It doesn't matter, because you know. So that's what, to me, is one of the things this book represents. Um, wait, I think wait, hold it. I have to connect my. Um, I have notes, but my I went down at yeah, here we are again. I have to connect my laptop. Okay, so learning from older people, that has been said. Again, let me emphasize that. And when I was listening to my younger brother Ed speak about learning from other people, from older people, it struck me that that is exactly the message I'm trying to get to my students for a long time now. That you learn, especially sociology, anthropology, you go to communities, you interview people, and the what point I'm trying to make is you don't interview them just to get information for you so you can write a term paper and get a grade or write a thesis and get a master's degree or PhD. That's very minor. You're in touch with people whose real lives are being shared with you, no? So ngayon, what's so great about our field is there's a recognition, still minority, that sociology, anthropology has to be at the service of the people with whom we're doing the research. The research is not we are doing research about you, but let's do research together. Let's get what's the information you need to move ahead, to move in directions you want to go. Can we can we be of assistance because we have certain technical skills and so on. So now we are talking in our field, a small core, and we're very active to promote that when you work with communities to bring out information, it's co-production, co-implementation, because then they use the information to move ahead. And the third is co benefits, right? That the benefits are theirs. Yes, we benefit because I can get a master's degree or whatever from that. But if you don't benefit as a community, then what I'm doing is really not significant, really. Who and so on. So the notion that there's a partnership, a shared partnership. So this is something new in our field. But as I was listening to my younger brother Ed and some of you, uh, I realized, my goodness, Cosa discovered this mga 40 years ago. Well, 89 you were founded. So what? At least 41 years ago, systematically, you have been promoting that. You learn. See, we should have learned, or my own generation should have learned from all of you the significance of listening, and that what you share is not so much for you, but so that if it's research, action, information for what they need. And I like the senior citizen card. What do you need to get a senior? What is needed to get a senior citizen card? That kind of started some of this action. No, what is needed in order if you're going to get? Are you going to plant? But what kind of seeds are you going to use, etc. So that how do I take care now that my daughter is an OFW in Saudi and I'm left with her children? What do I need to know about raising teenagers? That was not in my plan, but now all of a sudden I'm in charge. What do I need to know? So that kind of thing. What are the issues of older people, whoever you're together with? And I think you learned that many years ago. It's a lesson that for among academics at least is only being discovered now or recently. So I think we have to laud you for that. um, One of the other things that also comes out as you read the various parts of it is that the center, of course, are the older people themselves, right? But to get to where they were, those innate strengths has happened because they had partners. COSE is one, the COs who were there, those technical people who helped them understand their connections with the outside, with Help Age, that supported many of their actions, with the Institute of Spirituality in Asia, which again brings out the importance of their experiences, that there's so many who help, who may enable it to happen. And we don't like to use anymore the word help because it's like we help you, you're the other and we're the other. But really that together we achieve a common concern. And the common concern has to be defined by those who are facing the issues to be solved. So I think that's one of the things that really comes out, that to make something happen, you somebody recognizes the strengths of people who are somewhat marginalized, disempowered, but to enable them to fulfill the potential that you know is there, you need a lot of outside support, and that will vary over time, because I think, as many of these stories will show, the as the people themselves learn, they organize themselves. They don't really need the COs so much anymore to organize, because they know that the role of the CO begins to change to finding, the rules of how do you get, how do you apply for housing in NHA? How do you do this in the government? Unscrambling that. Where can we get funds to support this? Who is interested in this work? So it's interesting that the role of the PO begins to shift as it gets empowered, more and more empowered, more knowledgeable, self assurance that they can take care of a lot, and the NGO supporter and all the other supporters also begin to shift. And I think that's a very important dynamic to recognize. You know, um, I like the fact that, of course, we're very biased, but that it starts with community organizing, because I think Ed, and in his memory, our dear Dennis Murphy, the father really of community organizing, uh, have been the ones who said community organizing is enabling people to understand that they have capacities, and that if they come together in common concern, and they have to work out what is their common concern, what are their common issues, they can do things, right? And that's what organizing does. And so I'm glad that that was very much emphasized. I mean, as almost the beginning, and almost every chapter of this indicates in some way how, through people recognizing common issues, deciding that they do something about it, and their organizing ways of handling it, have made all the difference. Um, Let me move on. I mean, and of course, organizing whatever the first issue is, it could be like that senior citizen card, that once people start working together and achieving successes, let's say they got moving ahead on senior citizen, that they were able to go into gardening and many other activities for their common concerns. Um, so the stories from Cuento is really now the major approach in sociology anthropology, listening to Cuento. Because yung mga survey, they tell you something, but they don't give you the heart of how people feel about things, and we need to know that. So, well, I don't want to go too long into this, but what I remember, I was in Congress for a session when uh, when the RH bill was being debated. And at one point, I think the senior citizen groups, and many of them were COSE people, were also in the gallery, because there was something going to be discussed about senior citizen rights. And I remember those of us who were in the RH side, who are mainly in health and so on, we're so amazed. We look up at the gallery and we see these very energetic older people trying to control themselves. But, they couldn't help when, if somebody in the Congress said something that they liked, they would clap and cheer. And then the sergeant at arms would say, no, 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 you cannot do that. But he couldn't really throw them out. After all, they're the Lolas and Lolas. How can you throw out Lolas? So I just admired how there were so many of them that were there, determined to make the congressmen and women accountable to respond to them. And that's what organizing does. That you start small scale issues, but little by little, as you gain confidence, you move into much larger issues. So I was very privileged. Let me say. Then I joined UNICEF in New York, and then in Africa for 9 years. But I was asked to be on a panel in New York in the UN on older people, right? I think, what am I going to say? And so I just looked at the whole COSE experience, and I told them about the COSE experience of how older people got organized, how older people, women especially, were taking blood pressures and doing exercises, and they were so impressed because at that time, this is, I don't know what, early 80s or late 70s, nobody was doing that. No, nobody was paying attention to older people as their own agents of change. So just to let you know, your work has moved in many places then and ever since. Let me. I know I better close here because I think they gave me. I'm not sure how much time they gave me, but anyway, we now with COVID, we face so-called new normal. What is that new normal? I think organized groups and big ones like Jose have a very important role to play in what must be in the new normal. And sure, it has to involve older persons. Oh, and let me say, I have a grad student at UP. She teaches in UST, sociologist. She got her dissertation from her study um, in an older person in an informal settlement in Manila, and she kept track of older people. She found that they have categories among themselves. For example, there's yung mga batang lolo lola, and who is that? That's below 60, but because they have grandchildren, they're called batang lolo lola. But then if it's 60, it's senior citizen, and then the older ones, they have other categories of themselves, no? And so what she told me that now the uso, at least in our field, we don't say anymore. Definitely, elderly is a no-no, but even older persons now has been moved aside to older adults. So in her book, which is probably going to come out, she talks about older adults, recognizing that there are variations in of people's definitions, right? Just so you will know, that's why I now use. So I'm thinking that in the so-called new normal, one of the I guess roles that COSEC can play with all of your extended, of course, the whole system all over the Philippines, is to begin to get ideas of what about older adults in this new situation. For sure, one is the with the OFWs, maybe 5 years ago, the issue would have been my daughter and son are somewhere else, so I'm now in charge of the young kids. That's, of course, the big issue. Now, a lot of the issue is they have to tutor the grandchildren if the parents are not around or if the mother has to sell some or has to work somehow. It's left to the older women usually to catch up, right? But one of the sad things that um, the our Korean, I can't remember her last name, um, found was that the older people in this was in Baseco. Now that I remember, their solution to the poverty of the area was they would eat less, and because their children are adults trying to feed the younger their children, the older people would back off and say, "No, no, I'm not hungry," or "I no, I have no, I don't need medicine. My medicine is okay." When in reality, they did need medicine, and they did need to eat more, but self abnegation, pulling back for the benefit of their grandchildren, and that was it. She saw that as really tragic because the older people were kind of left out unless it became very conscious. Anyway, what are the issues now? Because of COVID, what is it that older adults have had to face and will face still, even when you have vaccines, etc., if we ever get vaccines? And will are older people going to be the first? Is that priority? Are we sure we want to have that priority given which vaccine, etc., etc.? Those issues might be a very, if you haven't already done it, maybe you've already looked into it, but maybe more systematically look into it, write a position paper. Ed can edit it, right? He's a very good editor, and present it to Congress or to the IATF or whoever. But let it be out there. There are certain concerns that have to be recognized in this new normal, and your emphasis on the most poor or the poorest has to come out there also. In other words, that was always a concern. But now, for sure, those families, there are many more poor people, and many of those will be older people, right? Um, and so, right, and the issues of the vaccines are there. So I think to help Age International, they've done a wonderful job to support this effort of COSE. Institute of Spirituality also. It's really good to know you have friends that you can rely on, and the people, all of you who have been involved. Um, let me let me end with maybe two statements of that I admire. One is Margaret Mead, anthropologist, which is why I'm very partial. Many years ago, she said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Right? A small, committed group of people with a passion to change the world, they're the ones who will make a difference. Right? And finally, I think what is here in the last page, very appropriate. From St. Irenaeus, imagine in the year 202, how many thousands of years ago, said, "The glory of God is the human fully alive." And you have helped so many people be fully alive, who in turn have helped their neighbors and their friends and others to be fully alive. So, congratulations to all of you for having put out this wonderful book. I look forward to continuing, since I'm part of this generation, to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much po, Miss Mary. Ano po, thank you so much for believing in COSE, for supporting COSE, for sharing COSE works and how COSE work as an agent of change for other people. And of course, thank you din po for sharing The Best Is Yet to Be book para po sa iyong mga estudyante and even including the discussion this semester. So thank you so much po. There are two words, na binigyang emphasize po ni Miss Mary, the word hope. No? So for the younger generations, the best is yet to be. So let's never stop hoping. And the word passion. We may discover our passion. And sana po, including sa ma-discover nating passion, ang working with communities and older persons. So thank you so much, Miss Mary po. And we'd like to quote yung binanggit po ni Miss Mary na nasa likod po ng book na The Best Is Yet to Be. This book shows that meaningful change towards better lives happen when groups value their relationships and work together for the good for all, unquote. So thank you so much. And of course, we'd also like to read some of the comments po from our Zoom. Thanks for publishing this book. It will certainly make a difference in the lives of the elderly. Galing po kay Mary Eileen Bacalso. The book is a product of its good people and program. Galing po kay Doc Shelly. So thank you so much po. And of course, mayroon din po tayong mga messages and comments from our Facebook Live. So tayo po ay naka-Facebook Live sa Coalition of Services of the Elderly and naka-watch party po tayo po, no? So may nagbabanggit po, we are proud and happy for COSE at ganun din po sa authors ng ng libro. The best is yet to be for sharing your wisdom and knowledge, which is a gift from the God. So congrats po. Very meaningful title of the book. Nice for the new generation. Congrats po sa lahat ng authors ng libro. Ano po? And then, thanking COSE din po for all the seminars conducted in Atimonan and in other areas. So thank you so much for launching this book. And of course, mayroon pong very interesting question. Meron po bang discount kapag bumili ng libro ang isang senior citizen at member po ng COPAP? So maybe later on, no, Ate Emily or the publisher, the ISA, can answer this question. Okay, we're not so sure about this. Can I have one copy? Of course, saan po bibili? Ano po, mamaya mababanggit din po yan ng publisher. So thank you po daw how to avail copy of this book, The Best Is Yet to Be. And of course, may mga nagpapareserve na po ng kopya ng kanilang book. And of course, Miss Mary, please send us a message po. Ilan po yung kailangan po ninyo para sa inyo pong class ngayong semester. Okay. And finally, tawagin na po natin si Reverend Father Gabriel de Dolatino, Carmelite Order, ang Academic Research and Publications Director po ng Institute of Spirituality in Asia para po sa isang mensahe bilang co-publisher po ng book na The Best Is Yet to Be. Good afternoon po, Father.
Good afternoon. So to the board of directors, to the contributors, to the editors and designer of this book, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. So when this was given to us, a privilege to publish this book, I was still in a lockdown in Bohol. And that's why we decided to reread the book, consult the authors and contributors on how to publish the book. That it could always, it could have its time, its publication before the end of December. So we are so grateful in our Institute of Spirituality in Asia. Our hearts are so warm, overflowing, and honored to publish this book. Your trust and confidence has given us the honor to give us our way of giving also our time and dedication to the elder ones. The book has given us also the occasion to look onto the new optic that we need not to forget the contribution of our elderly people, especially their dream for a better country, of the real progress and development. Maybe their voices are not that audible enough, but their voices are potent, essential, and their dreams are our dreams. And we do believe to the title of the book, to the best is yet to be, is not only for those who are speaking at this point of time, but to those who are following, for us who will be getting older in 10 years from now, who will be included in our second citizenship. But the COSE itself has given us a road to progress, a road to make the lives of our elderly a better, especially for those who are getting older this time. Supposedly, the launching of the book would happen last February 15, as you celebrated your advocacy for the older ones. But because of the many considerations, so we moved this and this date, and we're so happy that everyone is listening, everyone is attentive, and I hope this book will really give us an occasion to let the stories of these people be heard and could be a learning um, occasion for everyone to commit themselves to people, not only to their families, not only to their close friends, but to the neighbors, in which the Good Samaritan exemplified also in the gospel story. It is not on the proximity, the closeness is not on the proximity, but on your commitment to give your best to those who are really in need. So thank you very much for the trust and confidence given to us, Isa, and we're happy not only the time that you have given to us, but even this time that we are launching this book, we're always looking further for our partnership, Isa and Kosi, in giving our best to those people who are really in need and are also vulnerable at this point of time. Aside from this, I was given the task also to express word of thanks and to end our launching. But first, before that, I will end my note. You can avail the book here in the Teresa Building, 28 Acacia Street, New Manila, Quezon City. And we will be posting also, and we will distributing this book next week to our areas in which we are distributing here in Metro Manila and even in Baguio. And we are always open for your queries and how to send your orders. And you can also ask Kosi. And you're also asking regarding, would there be a discount for senior citizen? Yeah, it's up for us, Kosi and Eza, but we were telling them, if you will get a copy for today, we can give you 100 pesos our price as a price. Okay, but if you ask also for a discount, if you'll be buying more than more than uh, maybe maybe 5, then we'll give also a discount, because we do believe this is our advocacy and the book should be read and be shared, because the book would not just be put in our shelves, but it should be shared to everyone. Ito ay isang magandang libro at para sa amin, dapat ibigay sa mga tao na nangailangan, especially for the young of hearts and the young people, for them to create a heart full of love and compassion to the older ones. So thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. May God bless us all, and may all of us be given the spirit of courage to be with other people. Maraming salamat and good afternoon.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Reverend Father Gabriel D. Dolatina. And of course, thank you po for appreciating COSE and how COSE works po, and for saying that COSE pave a road to make the lives of the elderly better. But of course, COSE will not be able to do this without po the help po of the partners, of the stakeholders, and of many individuals continuously working with COSE and older persons. And of course, ano po, before we end, we would like to greet Father Gabby a advance happy birthday. Yeah,
Thank
advance
you.
happy birthday po ni Father Gabby po bukas. And of course, ulitin lamang po natin yung binanggit po ni Father Gabby, no? Sa mga bibili po, magpi-place po ng kanilang order ngayong araw, ang book na po ay magiging 100 pesos. And for those who are buying more than 5 copies ng libro, mayroon din pong discount. Okay, so para po sa karagdagang impormasyon ulit, paano po magkaroon ng kopya po ng libro, para po sa karagdagang impormasyon tungkol po sa COSE at sa ISA, maaari po nating hanapin ang website po ng COSE, www.cose.org.ph, at ang ISA po, isa.org.ph po. And of course, i-follow po ninyo ang amin pong mga Facebook account, Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter account, o magpadala po ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page. So maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. Dakal asalamat. Salamat kaayo. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend po. Thank you.
Salamat.
Salamat po.
Salamat.
Salamat po ng marami sa lahat ng nag-join.
Thank
Thank
you
you.